láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ̀ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ̀ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello, my name is Adeyemo Adegbenga Ganil, and I welcome you up to my new Yoruba Abramovic discussion YouTube video. In today's topic, we shall be discussing about what we know as God. Who is the true God? Who is the everlasting God? Who is the actual ultimate God? Who is the God of the beginning, the end, the middle, and for eternity God? We shall be detailing into what transpired why people have abused the name of God today. There are two approaches to this topic. From the first approach, we approach it from the European view of God. The European define God as anyone who deserves to be worshipped, who deserves to be honored, or someone who you regard as your own true Almighty to submit to. And that is a risky definition. If I am to say it, if I am to confess, it's a risky definition. And I will tell you what is wrong with the definition or that kind of God. It is said that the word God means someone who deserves to be worshipped. Our desire as an individual being differs. What I perceive as God may not be what you perceive as God. I can carve an idol image, put it in my house, and see it as my own God. Just like you too can pick up something else, an object around your area, say it as something to worship as well. As a matter of fact, to me, what I see as God and deserve to be worshipped is my idol. What you perceive as what you deserve, what you perceive as your own true God, is also what you choose to worship. So, if you are to generalize the name and address the general meaning of God, is a pagan way of life, because it does not actually refer to the true ultimate God in heaven. So that is the reality about the word God. Deserves anything to be worshipped. According to who? That is what is supposed to follow. Anything you deserve to worship at your own disposal. So my own God might be different from your God. Likewise, as tribe gods, as God of each tribe differs. So that does not really identify with the true Almighty in heaven. And it's so unfortunate. That same word for God has been what we've been found in today's modern Abrahamic books to show that we are all lost. So that is for the European. But if we are to dive into how the African understood their own kind of God, is far different to what the European perceive. The Africans give more respect to the name of the true Almighty. For the Yorubas, for an instant, the Yorubas, our God is Eledumare, Eledumare, or Olorun, Oluorun. These are names whereby we don't share with anybody alive on earth. You can never hear me bearing Adeyemo Olorun or Adebimpe Oluwa, Adebimpe Eledumare. It doesn't work out like that. These are names we separately regard for God alone. You can't ascribe it as part of your name, neither can you bear the name as your own personal identificative name. Is undone. So by doing that, it makes us realizes that this is a unique name we are not to toy with. And that has been the way Africans has been to God. They regard God even than their lives. So the idea of God itself originates from the concept of the true Almighty how to worship him and how to identify him comes from the lineage of the most spiritual people on earth. The lineage which all the Abrahamic prophets comes from. Because if we go to Imran 3 verse 33, like I used to say in my previous videos, God unapologetically declared that all his prophets come from one single lineage, one tribe. Moses, Adam, and they are all descendants, blood-related people who lives in different parts of Africa. Some live at Ile-Ife, some live at Dahomey, some live at Egypt Aziz, which is Palestine that became today Israel. Some lives at Sudan. So these are Yoruba people who live in scattered places. And God actually even related to it in another verses where he said the tradition of each of the Yorubas from these 4 different places, anyone among them who does the basic things of life, believe in God, believe that I am one, be righteous, and believe the day you will give account of all your doings, either good or bad, which is Ojo Keyin, Ojo Esan. If you do the basic, you have no problem with me. God is not saying you should start burning, but even I'm speaking about the Quran now. God is never telling you to be worshiping 5 times daily prayer. All this. These are things outside the Quran, and we are collated, invented after Muhammad, who gave us the Quran, is long dead in his grave. That's a story for another day. So the word God originated from the concept of the true God, the view of the true God, the idea of how to honor or worship or praise the true God comes from the lineage of all the Abrahamic prophets, both male and female, because they came from just one single tribe, and the tribe is the Yoruba tribe. The tribe is the Yoruba tribe. Let's first dive into it. What is the real name, the real native or identificative name of the true God Almighty of the universe? His name is Ella. E-L-A, Ella, no more, no less. Ella is his real name. So after the word Ella, people start to make other names out of Ella. This is why the Yoruba further have the name of Ella, ẹni tí ó ní odù tó máre, which becomes Eledumare. Ella ní ẹni tí ó ní odù tó máre. That is the full names, which is why the Yoruba had the name Eledumare. The shortened verse of it became Olodumare. That is, if you are not putting the name Ella, you are speaking about the same person. Let me give you an example. This is like saying, in 2022, who was the president of Nigeria? The president of Nigeria is Muhammadu Buhari. Muhammadu Buhari. If you are to say it together, you will say the president of Nigeria is Muhammadu Buhari. And at the same time, you can as well say the president. You can ordinarily say the president of Nigeria. Everybody already know who the president of Nigeria is without you having to say Muhammadu Buhari again. So the same way, the same concept applies to Eledumare. Ella, Eledumare, you are including the name of the true God. Olodumare, you are not including the name of the true God, even though it's still identified with the same person, because he is the only person who have a divine mystery in the entire universe. So that is where the idea of Eledumare, Olodumare come from. So the Eledumare itself have included the word Ella, because Ella is the actual name of the divine mystery God Almighty of the universe. This is why whenever the Ifa practitioners ever decide to relate with their Okpele chains, Okpele tablet, the oracle, they will start by saying, Ella Rowa, Ella show us the guide, Ella put us through, Ella, show us the real where to go from this point. Ella, speak to us, descend to us, inspire us. They are actually talking to because they believe the oracle is the mouthpiece of God, is the God represent, which is why it's also in the Bible as well. Speak just as the oracle of God have spoken. So Ella has always been the true name of God Almighty. This was why the Yoruba say Elarowa. So for hundreds of years, especially after for thousands of years, especially hundreds of years, especially after the transatlantic slave trade have took place, the Europeans have found a successful way of translating into something they can perceive, and the Yorubas won't be able to recognize it anymore. The names of Ella has so many channels. Like in the Bible, you will have Ella. It started with Ella. The Hebrew Bible wrote it down as El-E-L. The Quran inscribed theirs as Hil, E-A-E-L-A. All these names are still pointing out Ella. They are still referring to the Ella of the Yorubas, where all the story, the mysteries, the Abrahamic stories event took place with. So it has always been about Ella, Eledumare, irregardless of any way you try to approach it. So these are few examples from what we can say of Ella. When we say Ella, we have the likes of Elarowa. We have the likes of Elaowurobi, which the Abrahamic of the Quranic always addresses as Alawurobi. Can you see the same correlation? Because they are actually speaking Yorubas from different parts of the Ile-Ife, outside Ile-Ife. Alawurobi is the same thing, Elaowurobi. In fact, let's go to the Quranic verse too. We have the word of Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar is Ella Akoba. The full name, the full translation of it is Ella Akokoba, which we can translate as Ella, the first king, because the first king is always the greatest. And that's the matter of fact. This is why the Quranic people interpret Allah Akbar as the Allah, the greatest. So it's the same thing in Yoruba, the same meaning, the same translation, the same intonation. It has always been about Allah, and it's actually all about the Yorubas' way of identifying with their God, because the whole Abrahamic story has always been about the Yorubas and the Yorubas alone. There is nothing anybody in the world can do, and that is how God has placed it. But the world refuses to speak about it because of the trauma the Yorubas are facing today. So after that, let's go back to the Torah as well. The Torah has Elohim. Elohim. The word Elohim comes from Hel, the same El which Torah ascribe as Elah. Hel, Yin. There are two different words. Then it became Elah. Aoyi. Elati Aomayi. The Elah we shall be praising. Again, we have the likes of Hallelujah, Ella, Oluiye. And this brings us to the very sensitive words which is all over the Abrahamic books collectively. The word like Yah. The word like Yah is a Yoruba word. Yah means Iye. W-A-H, Iye in Yoruba. The Europeans, the non-Yoruba, translated it as Yah. And the Yah has been all over the whole Quran and the Bible as well. This was why we have Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah actually means Iye Ella. Iye Ella. Ya Musa, Iye Omishore. Ya Yashua, Yashua, Iye Eshu Awa. Iye Eshu Titi Awa. Ọmọ Yoruba. Yashua. So what is the English meaning of Yah? It is salvation. So when we say Yeshua, you actually say salvation of Eshu, of our own, the Yorubas. Salvation of Eshu Ọlá ìlú títí àwa ọmọ Yorùbá. Eshu Ọlá ìlú means blessings of the Yorubas, blessings of the Yoruba lineage. Which was why Jesus himself declared and sent only to the Yorubas, not the world. Why are people finding it hard to agree with what Jesus said with his mouth than what people are claiming to be outside the book? In 2 different verses under Matthew, Jesus said, "Do not disturb me. I am sent only to the Yoruba. Do not go to the way of the Gentiles." Oníjẹ ẹlẹ́tàn àwọn ènìyàn lórí ilẹ̀, Gentiles, the deceivers of the earth. And do not go to the Samaritans, àwọn sànmọ̀rí orí ilẹ̀, people who are close, people who you have similarities with, but they are not Yorubas, which are Africans but non-Yorubas. Eshu is saying that do not go to the Samaritan, but go only. Can you please define the word only? To the people of the Yisrael or Yasheri Ola people, Yisrael or Israelite. So how the European became Christian today, how the Asian became Christian today, how the non-Yoruba became Christian today is beyond my thought. Because the Jesus you are following has already declared, I don't know you. You are not part of my mission. In fact, don't accept my message. My message is not for you. So why the world want to die on this man is beyond me. So that is their problem, or anyone's problem outside the Yoruba tribe. So the word Ye has always been Iye Eshu, Awa, Iye, this one. And likewise in the Quran, we have Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah is Iye Ella. Iye Ella. Salvation of Ella. There's no big deal about it. Salvation of Ella. In the Torah, you have Yeshua, you have the likes of everyone. So randomly, the Yah means Iye. It has nothing to do with anything special. So the only evidence I know the truth, and I can stand before any crowd to defend what I know. But for you who doubt that it's all about the Yorubas, and this name have to do with the Yorubas alone, and this they will have to break down what the word Yahweh means, because it's a common name throughout the Torah Bible as well. The word Yahweh comes from Yah and Ewe, which only indicated Iye àwọn Ewe, and can be translated as salvations of the Ewe tribe. That is all it means. Yah Ewe means salvation of the Ewe people, Ewe tribes. So who are the Ewes? Prior to the late Samuel Ajari Crowther days, the Yoruba used to have different names. We have lineage names which we held on to according to our direct ancestral fathers. Like if a man gave birth to 3 children, instead of these 3 children, 3 sons to bear their biological father's name, each of them will tell their own direct children to also have to also bear their own names. For example, a man called Kamoru will give birth to Ganiu, Lekan, and Wale. Instead of these three sons to bear Kamoru name, their overall father, Lekan will tell his own children, you have to bear my own name. Ganiu will tell his own children, bear my own name. Wale will tell his children, bear my own name. So that has always been the way the Yoruba has been before. But after the ethnic or the Yorubas their identity has become a problem for them to know themselves. The late Samuel Ajayi now generalizes their identity and gave them a single native name, which we now held on to till today, and it was the name Yoruba. As a result of that, it now doesn't matter if you are from the Yoruba of Ile-Ife, which are the Jews. Ijeri, Ifa. Ifa comes from Ile-Ife, they are the Jews. Ijeri Ifa. Or the Yorubas of the Dahomey, which the Quran identify as Sabe, Sabians, Dahomey, them Kutonu Yoruba. Or the Yorubas which dwells in the axis of Egypt's ending, which used to be Palestine, but later became Israel land. They were called Yeshirahil or Yasheriola. Or the Yorubas of the Sudan, the Wadai tribe, whose originality are of today's Ijebu people. They came from the northern Sudan at the boundary axis of Egypt to settle down at certain western part of Nigeria of today, when the European or the Persian invasion was so much. So they had to migrate down to meet the rest of their family, where they believe they will be saved with their majority kinds. So God, if we go to the Quran as well, God related to it and it is all written. So as a matter of fact, God, the Abrahamic books only addresses them based on the name they used to bear then, which is why you can see them as Israelites. You can see them as Ewe people. You can see them as different names. So when we said Ya Ewe, you are actually saying Iye Ewe, salvation of the Yorubas. That is where I'm going. There is only identifying with the Yorubas. It's not saying salvation of the world, Ya word, or Ya Europeans, or Ya Japan. No. Ya Ewe. So all this thing, when someone now say Muhammad come for the world, Muhammad is the messenger of the world. The way they've made Jesus, who actually said he only identified with the Yorubas, the same foul play, they globalized the concept of Muhammad. And inside the same Quran, Muhammad also said, I have not come, I am declaring, I am only following the traditions of my forefather Abraham, Ishmael, Mekama, Ibrahim. I didn't do anything aside, which means Muhammad too is only following the prospect, the project of his processor. There is no way Muhammad said it that he came for the world. Likewise, Jesus too said it in the Quran. There is no way these two messiahs said it. Muhammad is ẹni tí a mú láti inú odù Ifá. Ẹni a mú nínú odù Ifá became Muhammadu. There is nothing like Jesus. Jesus is an European name. It's Yeshua and it's Yeshuawa, which became Yeshu for some people. So you people have to differentiate it and be frank with the truth. Only the truth will set you free. If you are going to say the truth, believe me, you will offend a lot of people, but the truth will set you free. We are living in the world whereby people love to be in isolation, hibernation. Ignorance is bliss. They don't care because as long as I'm okay. But what will you do without the truth? The God you want to be worshiping is a God of truth. Which is why God said to Muhammad, God told Muhammad said it in the Quran, if you are truthful, bring your evidence. God didn't say if you are truthful, cover up truth in the name of peace. Say the truth the way it is. So Ya has always been the God of the Yoruba, the almighty true God of the Yoruba, before they westernize it. As a matter of fact, the Yorubas have what it takes to understand the name of God, which was why the Europeans identify that. They acknowledge that, so they made it a global message. It's not a global message. The more you try to make the Abrahamic concept, the Abrahamic books a global message, the more you get lost in the European lies. Because to keep it a global message, even though it's not, they have to be patching lies over here, because questions will be arising. Unanswered question will be arising, and they will never have answers for it, because it's a stolen book. And one of the problems they eventually have till today, they find it hard to detail down certain things, certain statements in the Bible. You have a verse like Job, in the verses of Job, whereby Yahweh is addressing someone and telling him to glorify God, because they've made it to look as if Yahweh is God and Yahweh is the same thing as Elohim. They are different things. Their inability to have answers for it made some people even concluded that there are many gods in the Bible. There are not many gods. The Europeans were only able to write what they understand, because the book initially is never for them. This has been why there are unanswered questions in the Bible. Just like when God said, "Let us create men in our image," it's actually like sounding like God of many, that is talking to his fellow gods. Because God could have even said, "I created man in my own image," even though the angels might have hand. But God is saying that as if he needed a help from someone, that they can join effort to create man. The Europeans were only able to write what they can understand, and it's not the truth. So I will be trying my possible best to break down certain things they've taught you all your life that doesn't add up. So that is who God is. If you check out the likes of the Job, Yahweh is a name which can be ascribed to God, can be ascribed to the messenger of God, and can be assigned to a divine being who represent the Yorubas at a particular time frame, which was why Jesus can be called, which is Yeshua, can be addressed as Yah Yeshua. It means salvation of the Yorubas at a particular time phrase. After Yeshua left this world, Ahmad, Yah Muhammad, you can say salvation of Muhammad. So as well, you can also address them as Yahweh, because they are salvation of God through them on earth. They are representative of God through earth. So Yahweh of the Yorubas can be Jesus, the salvation from God to the Yorubas. It can be angels from God, Irumole from heaven to the Yorubas. It can be God himself who addresses it. But the only name you can ascribe God with is Elohim. That is the difference. So when the Europeans were so cunning to an extent that when they eventually released many English Bible, they had to change the name Yahweh to Lord, and changes the name Elohim to God. And the word Lord is a common name. Judges in courtyard, they uses it. You can address someone as my lord, my lordship. And even in Yoruba, the kings, the honorable ones, are called Oluwami, Dansakire. They are called Lord. So it becomes more confusing in the Bible when the Lord is addressing Elohim, God. People, because they've misrepresent this word in so many ways. But people who are of Yoruba, when you sit down and analyze it, you will understand. While the rest of the world will never understand till heaven and earth passes away. unless someone identify today. So before you can be able to identify with the Bible, with the way we how corrupted they've perpetrated it today, you have to relate with the Yoruba indigenes, because that is where it all started from. So the word God is not the true God. It's a general God's name. It could be general God name of an idol of anything. It is Ella, Elohim, Eledumare. And this is where we shall be coming to an end. If you want me to, it has a deeper meaning, deeper breakdown, which cannot be explained unless if you read it in books. Because I had to list all the names, break it down for people to go and find out on their own, and only for you to come back and buy me a drink as compensation. So this is where we shall be coming to end. My book is about to be done. When I'm through with it, how you can get it, I will put it on here. And if you want to support me or by making my message to be more known, or to put me on a bigger platform where the world can actually get to know me better, because I'm saying the truth and I'm ready to defend the truth at any length. He who said his evidence is in heaven is a liar. I know what I'm saying. So the Yorubas have to wake up, and the world itself has to understand who God is. It doesn't mean the other people outside the Yoruba race don't have their God, but there should be a God name you ascribe to your own true God. You can't be taking another God's concept to qualify your own God. You will get lost. Just like the way, no matter how an African got westernly educated, you can never be more English speaking than a real British person. You can never speak Yoruba than the real Aboriginal Yoruba, even though you go to the Cambridge Bridge of Yoruba to study the course. You can never be more European than the real Europeans who speak the English language. This is where I'm going. So as a matter of fact, everyone have to stick with what is basic, with their tradition, before life can be okay. And that is why nobody will understand Ella than the Yoruba, no matter how you try, no matter how the European try to manipulate it. So this is where we shall be coming to an end. Thank you for giving me your time. Please subscribe. I help me grow my channel. I need an encouragement. Help me share my videos. We can see someone who has been having so many questions in regard to this. Help me subscribe. Press the like button, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. Bye.